Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to another month, another off topic with my buddy Greg. Excited to be back. He and I have been very busy this last month, a lot of family stuff, and I haven't actually talked to him as much as I used to, and I feel bad, and I'm glad that we have time to chat.
Yeah, I'm excited. We both had a senior, so we both dealt with high school graduation get-togethers, parties, all the craziness.
Mhm.
So we still text a lot, but
We
we
do.
haven't really had a chance to really do an in-depth catch up. And I feel like a lot has happened in the community, not so much in card, although some stuff has happened in cards too, but a lot has happened with the community recently with different people making different videos and
Mhm.
people stepping back. And I don't know, like, I feel like there's a lot to talk about.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I feel like I kind of stepped back, not like intentionally, like I'm going to do a video saying I'm stepping back. I'm not doing that, but I've been a little less active than I normally am just because of just so much stuff going on right now.
Is it a matter of there's new stuff going on that eliminates the time, or is it that the channel maybe making content isn't as high of a priority and the other things feel like more priorities? Like what what do you th- what
Both.
is the reason that you've
So
been making a little bit less?
So for me, it's both of those actually. So I just don't have as much time. Work has been pretty busy, and that's not even like the primary reason. Work's just been a little bit busier than normal, trying to make some stuff happen. It's been a slower year, so I've been spending more time trying to find some opportunities there. But really, the last month has been very very busy with family stuff. I like you said, my stepdaughter graduated from high school like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I think 4 weeks ago. She graduated from high school. And then we had graduation parties. We went to graduation parties for like a week. It was just very busy with that. My wife and I have a set date night every week where I'll admit this on video, where we go salsa dancing. I'm learning the salsa dance. I'm terrible at it, but she likes it, so we do it.
Right.
So we had that, just trying to just balance everything. And then the week after that, so we did that so we had the graduation, family in town. And the next week was just a bunch of graduation parties. The week after that, we was 2 weeks ago or last week. Yeah, last week we went to Mexico, took my stepdaughter there for a graduation trip. I was there for a week and I didn't do any work or YouTubing. I just literally chilled in the pool, went to the gym and ate a lot of food.
Mhm.
So that was last week. We got back. My daughter actually turned 16 on Sunday. So we had a big sweet 16 party for her that I had to get prepared for. It took me days to get out like everything ready for that. And then Monday slowed down a little bit. So my wife and I just kind of hung out and said, wow, we're trying to decompress from everything going on. And then my daughter got her driver's license yesterday. So we were hanging out and she was driving me around. And then she started driving places and I'd follow her to make sure she was safe. And so it's just been jammed. Like I haven't been able to do it because I've had so much personal stuff going on. I actually did record a video today that's going to drop tomorrow with a
Okay.
couple pickups, but it's the first video. Like I sort my videos after I make them, I archive them by month and year, and it's the 12th today.
Yeah.
I went to go put it in the June folder. I didn't even have a June folder. I haven't made a video since the beginning of June, so I had to create a June folder like midway through the month was my first video. So it's just been slammed, and it was funny because I've I've been so just like trying to get things done so quickly and having stuff I had to work on. Normally at the gym, I'll ride the bike and listen to people's videos every morning, and I haven't had time for cardio because I've been so busy with work stuff. So I don't have time to do that. This morning I did, so I listened to your last video, and I loved it, especially the part about prioritization. It's really important, right? I think it really depends again where people are kind of in their life.
Mhm.
If you're young and you're single and you don't have kids and you choose to make videos, you should have a good amount of time to do that, right? And then on the flip side, if you're an empty nester and you want to make videos, You got time. You should have more time. You could do that. If you're retired, you probably have a little more time. But I think, like, the situation, and I guess not situation, the place in life, the time in life, kind of where you and I are, it's toughest because you have family stuff, work stuff, kid stuff, lots of things going on. And I liked how you talked about how you prioritize things. And I think I was thinking about that when I was listening to it. And I said, okay, for me, like, I think same as you, family is my top priority. Number one, there's no like shared priority. That's number one, right? And then, like, after family, it's kind of a little bit of a mix of like, friends, work, and like my personal health stuff, right? Like
Mhm.
those are all depending upon what's going on with each of those will each kind of take priority around each other. And then my hobbies in general, I think would be fifth because there was three in that middle one, right? So yeah, so my hobbies in general would be fifth. And collecting and making YouTube videos are like my primary hobbies, the things I enjoy doing. But I have other hobbies too that I like to do, and I don't want to give up on those. So that takes some time away. So when I was listening to your video, I was thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Like right now is very, very family, and I think to me that's just really important. And like, if any other priority like encroaches on that family priority, like that other one slaughtered. Like I don't want to let anything else impact my family priority.
Yeah.
And because the other priorities above YouTube and card collecting, those other ones I mentioned, those have all
Mhm.
been busier than normal. Plus family's been busy. It's really pushed the time that I prioritize for videos, at least in the short term, down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said it pretty well. Kind of how where I'm at too. Um, with your work is different than my work. My work when I leave kind of ends, and yours is kind of always kind of on the back burner. It's always kind of going.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's easier for me when I drive away from the building to leave it there than it probably is for you. Yeah, I think that there's just there's so many places I could go with what you just said and this whole concept of prioritization. I feel like looking around the community, there are a lot of people right now who are making fewer videos than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like a
Mhm.
lot of people. It's not just Darren hasn't made a video in June. There's a lot of people who haven't made a video in June. And I know that there are ebbs and flows and things, flare up in life. And, like our buddy Tony Liebrick, he's got more time now than he did 2 years ago because he was traveling a lot, going to his daughter's softball games. Her softball career ends, and he has a lot of time to fill with what he used to be spending on something else.
Yep.
Um, and you and I have, like Lucy's doing, like, if you go back 5 years, Molly was playing competitive golf, Lucy was playing competitive soccer. I
Mhm.
couldn't have made a channel work. And
Right.
I've said one of the reasons I got into my channel when I got into my channel is I was trying to establish the new hobby when the current hobby of watching my kids play sports
Right.
started to be in the twilight. As that was starting to wean down, I wanted to put something in place to replace it sooner rather than later. And because it's like the person who goes, I can't wait to retire, I can't wait to retire. And then they retire and then they have nothing to do. Like
Right.
you have to, any habit that you have, you have to replace the habit or else you start to go a little bit nuts, I think.
I would agree with
So,
that.
so, you doesn't seem like you have more time than you did 2 years ago. You probably have less time. You started a new job not quite a year ago, right?
Right.
And so that obviously creates a lot of stuff. And you've got, you're going to have a series of graduations over the next couple of years and stuff. So you're in a busier stretch than some.
Mhm.
But, and then we got our buddy Brent, he decided to step away. I don't think it's permanent, and I think that he'll make videos again.
Yeah, I think so
Um,
too.
but it, that is sort of like a shock to the system. But like a lot of our friends in the hobby, a lot of them are making fewer videos than they were a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And you mentioned something a second ago. I always take notes whenever you're talking. And you said, yeah, my hobbies are YouTube and collecting. How do you rank those two hobbies? Like YouTube is a hobby, collecting is a hobby. Sure, there's overlap. Sure, there are times that they're together. It's like the Venn diagram of overlapping is a lot of it, but not all of it.
Mhm.
If you couldn't YouTube for 6 months, or you couldn't go to card shows or pick up cards for 6 months, where would that go? What would that look like for you?
That's a good question, actually. Like when if I don't think through it, I would say, well, of course, I would love to continue collecting, but at the same time, if I think about it, like we talk about how we budget a lot, right? And the way from a card budget, but from like a life budget for me, I've got like X amount of money pays for my life, my family's life, pays all the bills, pays for vacations, pays for the standard of living that we have. And then Y is savings and investment. And then if I have Z is my money I can use for different things, including my card collecting. Um, like I said before, I had a good year at work last year. And when you're in sales and your customers don't change, if you blow it out one year, the next year is a rebuilding year.
Mm.
And it's a rebuilding year. So my Z budget has shrunk, and so I'm buying less cards. So when I think about that, your question, and like from like a realistic perspective, not like what I would prefer, but what's real, I could cut back on buying cards when I need to, but still enjoy doing YouTube videos. The problem is most of my YouTube videos are showing cards, so hence less content for me.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could
True,
pivot a little bit, and you could have, Darren's thoughts of the week, where you're just
true.
sharing what you've seen, or, you like one of the reasons, part of the reason I got into YouTube also is I don't have a big Z budget like you just described. I don't have a big card budget, but I really enjoy talking about cards, strategizing cards. And so like I get a lot of grief. People will say, "Well, you don't show a lot of cards." And I'm like, "No, I don't. That's one of the reasons I do this, is
Mhm,
because it allows me to participate in cards without having to buy and show cards. Is I could talk about different concepts within the hobby. And it has really helped me learn more about the hobby, participate more in the hobby, without needing to purchase stuff. And I've seen a few other people start to do a little bit more of that too. Like the last week or two, Mangini's done a lot of videos about conceptual stuff. And sure, he shows some video. He shows a few cards in there too. But
well,
a lot
he
of the
owns he
times,
owns every card already, so he doesn't have a lot of new stuff to show.
I know, but he
Unless
usually
he
would
gets
get
into
on
mod decks,
there.
breaking packs.
I know, but he usually would get on there and just show card after card, talk about the card, history of the card, the set of the card. And recently he's been doing more talking about stuff. And I've actually found it very interesting. I like hearing different people's perspectives. So there's is that option. Let
Yeah.
me let me kind of subdivide the subdivision of the question I just asked. Is YouTube time friend time? Because you just said a minute ago that friends are a priority above your hobbies. And then
Yeah.
you said YouTube is one of your hobbies. Do
So
you feel like YouTube is your friend time, or is YouTube a hobby that happens to include some friends?
so yeah, I think it's the second one. So my friend time's my friend time. Like, I feel like I might be a little less active in like our like group chats and stuff, but not to the extent that I'm less active on YouTube than I was before, right? So, like if you know if I'm in a group chat with a bunch of people from YouTube that are my friends and I'm not responsive, it's usually because I'm at a graduation party or a birthday party or something, or I'm in a pool in Mexico and don't have my phone with me. Versus but when I am there, like if I'm sitting, if I'm at work or I'm watching this show with my wife, or we're just kind of out, even my wife loves this, when we're out at dinner or something, and you guys, we start texting, I try to respond. So I think I would say friend time with interacting with my friends from YouTube goes in the friend category. Making videos to me would be YouTube. So I definitely don't want to my friends from YouTube to feel like I'm deprioritizing them, because I'm not. I'm just deprioritizing making videos.
Yeah.
Not even deprioritizing. I guess I am deprioritizing, but not in a way where it's like I'm stopping or slowing. Like I'm just slowing down because I have less time and less stuff to show. And I agree with your point that I could do stuff around like my thoughts on topics, but like almost all the comments I get from people about my channel is, I like watching your channel because I like to see the cards you show. So I feel like that's kind of my forte, and I have less cars to show, so I'll make less videos. And I don't know. I know you like hearing my opinion, but I don't know if everybody else does.
Well, don't sell yourself short, first of
Mm,
all, but I I I like hearing a lot of opinions. I'm a talk radio guy,
mhm,
historically I was before I started basically podcasting YouTube.
mhm.
Um, at what point does someone go from a YouTube friend to a friend? Like, you have people that I think you'd say, "Oh yeah, that's a YouTube buddy," right? And then I hope you have some friends that you'd say, "No, that's my friend.
Oh
We
yeah,
met through YouTube."
yes,
How
a
many how
hundred
many
percent, 100%.
how many
So I would say
friends how many
people that I
friends do you have that are friends that you met through YouTube versus are YouTube friends?
I mean, I would
You
say,
don't have to name them off, by the way.
yeah. And I mean, I have a lot of friends, legitimate friends that I met through YouTube, and then even my YouTube friends, people that I haven't really like, necessarily like met in person, or like text with or something. I still view them as my friends. Like if somebody from YouTube that I've like, hey, I commented on a few of your videos, something's going on, can I talk to you about it? I would move that from being, hey, this is a YouTube video comment response, which I might not have time to do for a couple days, to, yeah, like you're a person that's asking for my time one on one. I would view that as more in the friend category. So like all my YouTube friends are friends, even if I've never, like, I put that time in the friend category. Obviously, my YouTube, like my friends that I've been friends with for years, that I met through YouTube, that I've hung out with, like yourself and others, you guys are fully prioritized friend time, right? Like if you
Yeah,
call me and said, hey, I need something, I would drop what I'm doing,
right.
especially if it was work.
Now, you said a second ago that your channel is primarily showing cards, and a lot of your comments are based on cards that you show. And I do think that different channels kind of have a theme to them.
Mhm,
Like, there are certain guys whose channels like are more about thoughts and concepts, and others it's about seeing cards, and others it's about, collaborations, and others it's about card shows, and and showing vlogs at card shows. Like, do you think that people get stuck in what their channel is, or do you think that channels can and or do reinvent themselves? Like, are there channels out there that you used to go, "Oh, this guy is," like, I'll give you an example. Chris from Missouri used to just pretty much show cards and talk
mhm.
about them. But now he does a lot of collaborating, and he does a lot of just telling stories and stuff. The Drew, Vintage Legacy, he's historically been a storyteller, but there are times he shows cards. Like, I mean, do you think that channels should be reinventing themselves? Would you consider trying to reinvent yourself, or do you just think I am what I am?
I I have a couple different answers to that, like looking at it a couple different ways. The first is, yeah, I think, adapting this stuff is really important, right? So if you're doing something one way and it's not going the way you were hoping, then yeah, you should be able, you should adapt to do something differently so it goes the way you want it to go. That's one way that I would look at it. But on the flip side, like my channel, when I first started, I talked about topics sometimes. I did pack breaks sometimes. I used to bring more guests on to not like collaborations like this, but like, I'd have a guest on for like part of a video. I used to do that more. And then I feel like over time it kind of morphed into kind of more of my niche, which is, showing cards and talking about the history of the card. Um, so from that perspective, the opposite happened with me. Like I started fairly broad, trying a lot of stuff, and then kind of, morphed into the thing that I think that, I like doing the best. But at the end of the day, there's two ways to look at that question, right? There's a way to look at it and saying, I'd make YouTube videos because I enjoy making YouTube videos. Then you don't have to, if that's the way you do it, if you do it for that reason, then it's like it doesn't matter if you don't need to adapt, because even if nobody watches it, you do it because it's the way you like to do it. On the flip side, if you do and say, hey, like for you, you're very collaborative, right? So you're like, hey, I like to do things collaborative. I like to include the community. So if there's something that I'm doing that is not as popular, I'll stop doing that and move to something that is, because that makes it more collaborative. Versus some people like me, if I'm just showing cards, if people are like, you know, I don't like what you're showing, I say, all right, well, I'm showing my collection, so I'm going to collect what I want to collect, and I'm not going to change that. So stop watching my videos, right? So
Right.
there's two ways to look at that, right? Like, and there's a lot of people that are very collaborative in the community. You're, I think, probably the most, but there's a lot of people that are very collaborative. And when those people switch things up or change things up, I think it's great because it allows for continued collaboration versus like, the curmudgeons like me, where it's like, hey, here's my cards, leave me alone. If you don't like it, that's okay. Just don't watch it.
I feel for me, I feel one thing I get a little bit, I wouldn't say upset about, but I get a little discouraged. I don't even know if that's the right term. But there are times where some channels have a certain theme to them.
Hmm.
And then if other channels don't have that theme, then we kind of say, "Oh, that guy's doing it wrong." Like if you're a guy who shows cards. So let's say Chris from Missouri, year 1, heavy card shower.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people are like, if you're not showing cards, are you actually a card channel? Like, not the fact that you're just talking about cards makes that's not what this is all about. Or if you're a guy who is a new, like there are a lot of channels that are like kind of hobby news, like Neo Cards and Comic or Sports Card Dad. Like those guys
Mhm.
are kind of hobby news. And I feel like a lot of people who are card showers or are concept, collecting concept people, they kind of look down on the people that are hobby news people. And I feel like a lot of I feel sometimes a little bit of frustration because I feel like I like the breadth of the options. Like
Mhm.
like I would listen to Neo most days on the way to work. His videos are usually 10 or 12 minutes. He tells me what's been happening in the hobby for the last 24 hours or whatever new thing hit. Like I liked that. Other people would go, he's just a hobby news channel. That's not a real card content channel. And I don't really understand why it has to be that way. It's like if you were a basketball player, it's not like a baseball player is playing the wrong sport or vice versa. Or the football players shouldn't be looking down on the baseball players because they're just baseball players and not football players. It's like, why can't why can't there be different lanes and be that okay? Do you ever feel like some of the channels are kind of judgmental towards others if they aren't doing what they're doing?
Yeah, I think so, and that drives me nuts, right? Because I think at the end of the day, it's just common decency to say, look, everybody does their own thing. And you have to appreciate that the people that do their own thing take the time to do it regardless, right? Like I see a lot of, it hasn't happened in a while, but the topic used to come up a lot around like modern versus vintage, and people are getting pissed off. Who cares? If somebody wants to make a video about opening modern packs and that's what they enjoy doing, then they should do it. And if people don't like doing, if they don't like it, rather than make a video about saying, "Oh, this guy's blah blah blah," just ignore it or don't watch it. Right? Like that's the thing to me that kind of bugs me sometimes is when people make videos about why somebody else's channel is wrong. It's not. I mean, at the end of the day,
Right.
it's opinions, right? At the end of the day, it's all opinions. Nobody's stating fact. Mangini states fact, but that's more about like the history stuff, which is more real fact stuff. But like for the most part, when we talk about its opinions, it's like I bought this card. My opinion is it's a good card, so I want to show it. If you don't like it, fine. So I think when people get negative and like I think anyone that takes the time to make videos, everyone should just at a minimum respect the fact that they're willing to take the time to make videos that they're hoping somebody will enjoy watching, right? So when people get critical about it, I just think I think it's silly. I think it's rude. At the end of the day, like I was talking to my wife about this, and she made a good point because I'm like, yeah, these guys, like some groups are saying this, and other groups are saying this about this and that, and this group that people are saying, oh, it's a popularity thing to do. And she's like, Darren, you and your friends collect pieces of paper with other men's photographs on them. None of
Yeah.
you are cool. I'm like, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. She's just getting real with you.
Yeah,
Well,
so I'm like,
then,
that's true. So like we could collect whatever we want, and I agree with you. When things go negative, I don't like it. I think it's annoying because it's going negative because somebody wants to. It's almost like they're just trying to get more people to watch their channel. And to be honest with you, the only channels that I think topic wise that I don't necessarily like uh, watch enough to really appreciate or when you could tell certain people might make a channel where they don't really have their thing. Like when people have a new channel and they're doing different things, that's great. They're trying to find their niche. Awesome. But when people are like not really finding a niche, but they just talk about topic, they like do something that's like controversial a lot, or they're just more clickbait. To me, that's just sort of annoying because it's like, look, other people do this for the enjoyment of doing it. And if your channel is to criticize or like, to make people feel bad about it or to, flex on someone, if that's if you do that for that, you basically create a channel to kind of be a troll. So to me, I don't like that. But other than that, like I appreciate everyone's channel. Like, and when Brent made his video, he talked about one of the first things he said, he started talking about like, sub counts and click counts and views. And I think people might have taken it the wrong way. Right? I don't think he meant that I'm not getting enough clicks or views, so I'm going to stop doing it. I expected more or something like that. I think really what he meant was if I'm going to take the time to make the video and I'm getting fewer and fewer people watching it, then the content I'm making, I don't want to take that time away from my family to make content that people really don't want to watch or don't are not as interested in as something else. So like that's the way I took it when he said that. I didn't take it like saying, "Oh man, he's quitting because he doesn't have enough subs." Like it takes time to build the subs, and I think he fully understands. I just think that that was the way I kind of took it when he said that. But I think net to your question of people can I appreciate everybody's videos. If somebody says, "Hey, I open packs of 2024 tops," cool. I'll watch your video because when you open it and you get a card that you want, then cool, awesome. You got a card you want. Doesn't really matter. Now, I do take that back to an extent. When people are doing card breaks and all they're doing is saying like trash, 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 trash. This is valuable. I don't want to see that. That's to me, that's silly. That's like what it's like going to Vegas and like sitting in the high rollers room or not the high rollers room in some cases and just watching someone else gamble. That's not exciting to me. But if
uh,
people do it for the passion of doing it versus I do it purely to try to flip shit and make money, then yeah, no matter what you're opening or what you're showing or what you're talking about, what you collect is great. Good for you. And I don't think people should be negative about that.
okay, let's test you on that. You've said twice in the last couple of minutes that I wrote it down. I appreciate everyone's channel. Do you appreciate Jeff Wilson's channel?
Yeah, I appreciate what he does. I appreciate the effort he puts into his channel. I appreciate the production quality that he has, or the topics he talks about, like the topics I would personally want to listen to, not so much. But I don't like, I wouldn't say that, anything bad about his channel. I mean,
Is it bad to look at sports cards as an investment? Because some people who would call themselves more like purists would say sports cards aren't investments. Sports cards are a hobby. It's a passion of collecting cards, learning the history of the cards, the history of the players. And anytime investment is used with it, they would say that's bad. So two parts to this question. First part, is it is sports card investing a bad is that a bad thing to say or a bad thing to participate in? And the second part, is it bad for people who have YouTube channels for the sake of making money from it versus making it just for the pure love of talking about cards?
good questions. I don't think there's anything wrong with investment. Like, I personally collect for collecting sake. I don't collect for investing sake. I invest for investing sake, and I collect cards for a hobby. But if, again, it goes back to my previous kind of point as well about like modern versus vintage versus this versus that. If that's the way you like to enjoy your hobby, is buying cards and hoping they go up in value, and you get your enjoyment from the hobby when they go up, then cool. Like, if somebody said, "Hey, one of my hobbies is investing in stocks," I'm not going to say that's a stupid hobby. I'll say, "Cool, good. That's a great hobby." Investing in cards, it's a different style of it. Like, me personally, I wouldn't invest in cards for, like, capital appreciation, because I think it's too hard to gauge it, right? Like, I think there's a lot of other investments that are a lot easier to gauge, potential appreciation than with cards. I think cards are personally too risky, but if that's the way people get enjoyment out of the hobby, by investing, then cool. I'm all for it. I just hope that they don't overextend themselves and buy stuff that they can't afford, and then it goes down, right? Like, that would be terrible. But I mean, outside of that, like, yeah, I think that's the way you like to enjoy the hobby, then go for it. That's your prerogative. It's your choice, right? It's your opinion of how you want to do the hobby. And then
There are
YouTube channels that are strictly there to make money. Cool, man. I mean, I would love to have a side hustle that paid a reasonable amount. I've got monetized on YouTube last November, or last no, I got monetized on YouTube, I think, last September. I've had one check for $100.
now
So, like,
there. What
if
about the people who? What about, because there are two channels right off the top of my head I can think of, and again, I'm not gonna be calling anybody out, but there are two channels I can think of off the top of my head who have been doing YouTube content for a while, and were kind of outspoken about, all these people are just trying to make money off their channels. This is wrong. This is, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's not what this is about. Like, kind of talking like that was a bad thing, and are now advertising for different companies and getting paid for it. Like, w- um, is it that maybe those people's opinions just evolved? Maybe it changed. Like,
I don't, I mean, I don't know the person. I don't know any of those people, like, well enough to get to say why, like, for sure. But I think initially doing that, to me, if somebody has a channel, I mean, I look at it this way: if somebody has a channel that everybody's like, "Oh, that channel sucks. He's just doing it to make money," and he's actually making money, that means that there are a lot of people that are interested in what they're showing, because a lot of people are watching. Because you know you have to have a lot of people watch your videos to make any money. Like, if it's a monetized channel, like, you have to make to make actual money that actually changes something. You have to have a lot of people watch your videos, right? So people could say, "Oh, that's BS. They don't, that's not real." Well, apparently it is, because thousands of people probably watch every one of their videos. So there are enough people out there that like it, right? So I think, and especially if You said, "Oh, I don't like those guys that monetize. I don't like those guys that monetize. I don't like those guys that monetize. They're not real. They're not real." And then suddenly you're like, "Oh shit, I have 10,000 subs or 20,000 subs and I'm monetized and I'm making good money on it." And suddenly it's like, "Oh, cool. I have an advertisement for, Fanatics or whatever. Now I'm making even more." That to me is kind of hypocritical. It almost shows like a little bit of jealousy, maybe like, "Hey, I didn't like it when I wasn't the one having it, but now that I have it, it's okay." Like to me, I don't like that so much. But again, I think there's a lot of people, and I totally understand this, that do the hobby purely because they love the hobby. And they feel like when people create channels that the people that may be less knowledgeable of the hobby than them, yet do things in a way that gets more views and monetizes quicker and actually makes like, and I don't mean like, oh, I got a check for a couple $100. Like these guys make, so there's some guys that between their YouTube payout from YouTube and then their ads and everything else, they make like a legitimate side hustle on it, right? You know, if you're doing that and you're making money, like a real side hustle money, then there are people that clearly are interested in what you're talking about, or else you wouldn't be making any money because it's all based on clicks. So I don't know. I think I could see why people would say that they're not good for the hobby, but really, like my only thing where I get frustrated with other channels, or I'm like, I don't like that, is when a channel tries to push something that isn't they try to like like trick kids. Like that pisses me off, right? When they're like, "Hey guys, you need to get into these breaks because you're going to make this and this," right? It's like, "Oh, this guy made 500 grand when he did this break and sold this car." And it's like, cool. That's like a 1 in a billion chance of happening. It's not realistic. So kids, don't take your money you earned from your allowance or doing some like side jobs or mowing lawns or whatever and go do this, because when you start pumping up these cards, the guys that are telling you these are the cards you should buy, and they're focused on pumping up kids, and the kids will say, "Oh, I'm buying it." The price goes up and up, right? Supply and demand. As more people buy, the demand increases the price. The increase in demand decreases the price, increases the price, blah, and then these guys sell and then the prices start to come down. I don't like that, right?
Yeah.
That's like hustling and take advantage of kids is different to me than saying, "Hey, I created a channel. I have a good personality. I'm not as knowledgeable as cards as other people, but I'm going to use my personality to grow my channel. I'm going to use my marketing acumen to grow my channel. And hopefully I can monetize it and make good money." To me, that's like, cool. You're just hustling and doing your thing and you're making money. That's fine. It's just when people focus on like trying to take advantage of kids, trying to trick them into thinking that they could become rich by giving them by buying into their breaks, that I don't like. But the rest of it, it doesn't bug me. I just don't watch it. If I'm not interested, I just don't watch it. And I sure as hell I'm not going to make a video saying I watched this other person's video and I disagree with it and they're wrong and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, whatever. It's an opinion, their opinion. I'm not going to do that. If I start watching a video, I've definitely watched videos before. I'm like a couple minutes into it and I'm like, and I'll turn it off.
Sure. The power of scrolling is the power that a lot of people tend to not use as much as maybe they should, because whenever someone leaves a negative comment, I'm like, well, instead of leaving a negative comment, why didn't you just watch something else?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not just talking about to me.
Right.
Everybody is going to get negative comments. It doesn't matter if you're Mr. Rogers, you're going to get negative comments.
Hmm.
Um, but why not just turn the channel? Like that's the weird thing. Now, let's kind of tie this, let's put a bow around this and kind of go back to where we started, which was priorities. Is is there are there times that you think, because you went through your part as family, and then you said friends and work and that kind of stuff,
Health.
and
Yeah.
health, and then below that you put hobbies, which was cards and YouTube. At what point can those priorities change? Like, is could something happen with your YouTube channel that, or with your card collecting, where it's no longer in that third tier and maybe it moves up, or one of those other things moves down? Like, I hate to think, oh, my health is lost priority, or my work lost priority, or my my whatever what was the other thing? Work, how friends lost priority.
Yeah.
But is there something that could happen with your collection or with YouTube where it changes what tier the priority it's in?
I don't think so, with the one exception of someday I'm gonna hopefully retire and the work priority will go away. But, I don't think that I don't think anything would move the priorities or shift them to, like, different tiers. I do think, though, that the prioritization won't change, right? Like, I'll never say if I had to choose between, like, my health in a YouTube video or my friends in a YouTube video or my family in a YouTube video, I would never choose the YouTube video no matter what ever. But, like, when my kids leave for when the youngest ones leave for college and, my wife and I both are planning to, maybe change up what we do a little bit and start doing jobs where we have a little bit more travel, um, you know, then yeah, I mean, I'll have more free time and I'll, spend more time doing YouTube, right? I if I get to a point where my doctor's like, "Dang, you're like super healthy," then I'll work out a little less and spend some time on YouTube, but I'm not going to deprioritize anything. I'm just going to potentially spend a little less time doing it because my life structure's changed, but I would never put a hobby in my life other than if I retire. My hobby is will never be more important than my job while I'm working. It'll never be more important than my friends. It'll never be more important than my health, and it sure as hell will not be more important than my family.
Right. All right. Last question. Um, Looking forward in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years,
Mhm.
do you think what is the likelihood that you stop making videos, that you just pull the plug on YouTube? Would something dramatic need to happen for you to go make that move? Or could it just be a settled decision of, you know what? I've scratched the itch. It's time to move on to the next thing.
I don't think so. I mean, I enjoy making YouTube videos. It just when I have the time to make them, and again, I like to make videos when I have cards. So, like, I would say the only way I would stop making YouTube videos is if I stopped collecting cards, and I don't see that happening. So, as long as I'm collecting cards, I'll still make YouTube videos.
Makes sense. Now, what
And to be
what
honest with you, even if I stopped collecting cards, I technically would still make YouTube videos because I would at least be on the off topic with you every month.
Okay, so what you're telling me is even if you were no longer making videos, you would still come on once a month with me.
Yeah, because you're my friend, and friends are I prioritize very high.
I like that a lot. I like that. What day? So this is June 12th. When can a person expect this video to post?
Probably Monday, because I have another video that's gonna drop tomorrow, and then you and I have a special video dropping Sunday.
Okay.
I'll probably drop this Monday or Tuesday.
Okay. Okay, so if you are listening to this right now, and if you're at this point, then uh, hopefully you've already watched our Father's Day special, off topic with the two of us and our dads.
Yep,
If not, head over. I'm hosting the guest episode this month, so head over to my channel and check that out because though we've not recorded it yet, we're about to, and I think that it's going to be a good one.
it'll be fun.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Anything to wrap this up?
No, if you've made it through the whole 44 minutes, I think the term this time is prioritization.
Prioritization. That
Yeah,
might be hard to spell. Let's just say
priority,
priority.
priority.
Priority. Yeah. That would be hashtag priority means you made it to the end, which we appreciate.
Yeah,
And
thank
if
you.
you fell asleep, good morning. And if you turned it, that's fine too. We
Yep.
want you here if you want to be here.
Exactly. If you enjoy it, watch it. If you don't enjoy it, don't watch it. And I promise you, neither one of us will be upset if you came up to us in the national and said, I don't watch your show because I don't like it. Say, okay,
Yeah.
maybe
That's
we'll
it.
ask you, why don't you like it? And we'll take
Mm.
your feedback. And if you're just like, I don't like you guys, we'll say, cool.
What I would
Appreciate
say is it's smart that if you don't like something to not watch it.
I would agree with
That
that.
is way smarter than watching something you don't like and then complaining about it.
I agree. Or getting mad about it. I mean, especially guys like our age and older. Getting mad about stuff, it stresses you out, it increases your blood pressure. There's no reason. It impacts your health. So if you don't like it, don't watch it. And if you think watching it will make you mad, definitely don't watch it.
Yeah. Well, we hardly talked about cards today. Is that okay that we did that?
I think so, because when we record our video with our dads, we could talk about cards.
Okay. Yeah, I think that off topic is more than just about cards. I
Hmm.
think it's about, prioritization even.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, bud. Well, that was a blast.
That was fun.
Thanks for hanging out with me and making our time together a priority in your schedule today.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to recording another episode with you momentarily, which
Yep.
we'll post soon too.
Sounds good. I'm going to go change my shirt. So at least if you watch both, it doesn't look like we did it back to back.
I'm going to do the same thing.
All right, everybody. Well, appreciate it. Thank you. And hope you enjoyed the video. And we'll talk to you guys later.